Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Hans Mansels from HRTECH Valley. Welcome to the fourth episode of our HRTECH Back2Back series. This time about innovative payrolling and time and attendance. Watch the other 3 episodes on our website if you get time for that. I already told you what our topic is today, innovative payrolling. Well, we have 2 solutions, but Stephanie, my ring official of Thomas More, knows more about that. So, Stephanie, you look lovely today. Who's talking to us today?
All right. Okay. Now I'm a bit confused. Today we have the pleasure to have a founder with us, actually two founders, and we are starting with Strobbo. And as far as I understand, companies often struggle when personnel schedules are often changing. It's a hassle, the administration, and Strobbo wants to make this administration easier and even automate. I read that they even can take the weather into account. So I'm very curious to hear more about this, Nick. So the floor is yours. You have 20 minutes to pitch and then 10 minutes question time.
I thank you very much, Stephanie. I'm gonna try to share my screen first, right? And then let's see if that works. Sharing my screen, and then I am gonna share my big screen here. So if this for some reason would be like too small or something for you guys, then just please give me a heads up. Right?
It's perfect.
Okay, super. Okay, great. So as you said, we try to automate the your employee planning, and we try to do that around all aspects that we cover there. So what we do is we start from asking to the staff like who is available to work or who is not available to work. That means that also for the fixed staff, we have a lot of clients who work a lot with students, with in Belgium with flexi jobs also, people that we say which are the flexible staff, right? But of course, we also have a lot of clients who work or who have a lot of their own staff, like fixed employees, part-time, full-time. And for those, we mainly need to manage the absences, right? When we want to know when we can schedule them. And we do that taking everything into account, including how many holidays I still have left. All those counters can be put in the system, and then they can be offered to the staff within our convenient app. Second thing that we do is when somebody when they start to work, then we make sure that contractually everything is ready for that. So in Belgium, you have a system which is called Dimona to do that. In France, you have a system also like that, which is called TPAE. Basically, it's a government system where that everybody is tracked, and you need to have all the people that work for you have to be entered there. And the second thing, of course, everybody knows that, is that everybody who has to work for you has to have some kind of signed contract, right? So we make sure that everybody who's going to work also is allowed to work legally, right? Then when they start to work, we also want to have their actual working times, and we do that via our clock-in system, right? So people can clock in, clock out via PIN codes, via badges, via finger scanners, facial recognition even. So yes, we are fixed on planning. We are most specialized in planning, but we also definitely want to make sure that we know when people actually work, because that is very important information to pass on to the payroll system. And then afterwards, of course, we want to have proper reporting on that so we can help our customers on being more profitable and improving their planning, right? Just to give you guys an idea, we currently have over 1,800 customers in 5 countries, and here are some brands that you might know. We started in hospitality, also have a big focus now on the retail, and also going into operational environments manufacturing now, right? So, but you can still see here from the brands that we already have, like Pizza, like McDonald's, like KFC in Belgium, of those big brands, they work with our software in Belgium. We don't just create a planning, and I will share like I will do like a miniature demo of the software. I will share my screen. I will go through creating a planning with you guys together. But before we do that, I also want to point out that we also do what we call interactive scheduling, which basically means that the planner can say which jobs are needed. They can send them out to their staff, and then it's the staff who can accept the jobs, who can choose which jobs that they want to work, which is like very easy in an hospitality environment, because in a restaurant, we mostly send us out to students. But we also have very complex cases like in call centers, where that they have multiple shifts per day, and people via the app can give in their preferences, like I want to work this shift, or I want to work this shift. And with our AI scheduling tool, we try to match the business needs with the preferences of our clients or from their staff. Like I said before, we are very keen on helping our clients make the most optimal planning, which for us means that we take into account the business needs, and then we look at the planning, see how much users, how much hours are needed to fulfill this business needs, which will actual work efforts, to make sure that a client plans the most optimal amount of hours, meaning that he will not plan too many hours, because then he will have too high employee costs, or not less hours than needed, because then probably he won't be able to finish all of the tasks that are needed for that day. Or maybe in a restaurant, for example, people have to wait very long for their food, and obviously that's not something that we want for our customers. Like I said before, after we do the planning, then we also do time registration. We can do that via pin code, where we can track the GPS location of the guy or girl who clocks in. But we can also do it via badges, via finger scanning, via facial recognition, and those can all be linked to payroll offices, sociaal secretariaten, as we call them in Belgium. I will get back to that later on. Right. One thing that we find very important is that we want Strobbo to be the heart of your eco center around all of the tools that you need for your staffing, meaning that you can both manage your own people, your own staff in there, but you can also manage your interim staff, for example, so we can link with several interim offices. We have weather forecasts, and you might think now, okay, why do we need weather forecasts? Well, easily, if you're running a hospitality business, for example, then you want to know what the weather will be, because if it's good weather, then maybe you need to plan more staff than when it's raining, obviously. We link up with cash registers so that we can do extensive reporting on what you earned, the revenue versus the amount of cost for your employees. We can link up with menu management so that we can also show the food cost, and etc. 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 Right. Now, before I dig in or dive into my little demo, I quickly want to tell you a little bit more about our company. Right. So old picture. We started as a startup in 2016, right? We had about 80 customers then. We won actually an important innovation prize in hospitality in 2017, and then already in 2018 we got acquired by the SD Works Group, by ProTime, and from there on our growth even accelerated more, becoming the market leader in Belgium for flexible work scheduling. And then in 2019, we did a rebranding from the former Online Werkrooster, which was our first name, to Strobbo now. And then in 2020, we had 1,300 customers. We now have over 1,800. Just to give you guys an idea on what that means is we sign about 50 new customers every month, located currently, or we are fixating on Netherlands, France, Luxembourg, Belgium, of course, and then Germany. It's 2019, we also started doing larger customers. So we started really with the restaurants around the corner here where I live. But now, we have the biggest brands in Belgium who are using our software, which means that, those big brands, they also have different needs. So we developed stuff like AI scheduling, where you can really say from scratch, I'm going to need these amount of hours. Then the system for you will calculate per hour how many users that you need or for which job. So it can be, for example, 2 guys in the kitchen, 2 guys at the bar, and maybe 1 cleaning the dishes or something like that. That is really something that our system can calculate. And then with 1 touch of a button, we can from scratch generate a planning for you, for our customers, which they just need to change afterwards whenever they think they still need to, and then they can send it out to their employees. Right. I'm going to give you an idea on how much work that this saves for our customers. And I'm going to take like the McDonald's case here. So they said before working with our tool, they need about 1.5 days per week to create their schedule. They're a very complex scheduling solution. And now they can do it under half a day, right? So we save about 1 day, 4 days a month of work time for them with this AI scheduling tool. They also asked other things like self-scheduling, but we focused more on like, okay, these are the amount of hours that I need, send them out to the staff. They can then accept whichever job that they want first, and then switch afterwards after their initial assignment or something. We really want to help the planners of those bigger companies that work with our software to create a proper planning according to the HR laws of the country that they're planning for, but also as interactive as possible so that they can do it as quick as possible. You know? And just to get you an idea, I have a quote here from one of our customers. It's from Ellis Gourmet Burger. Maybe some of you know them. I think they have about 15 locations in Belgium now. They're a premium burger brand. And they say during the payroll process, we work 3 days faster than before. And we gain at least 4 more days of administration throughout the month because we do all those contracts, all those demonas. And their HR manager here says they couldn't be more happy about our solution. Right. All right. So I guess fancy quote, but what is important, of course, we are a software company, is the software. So with the limited amount of time that I have, I also want to give you guys a quick insight on how that we can schedule in Strobbo, right? So I prepared some screens here. Like this is an actual customer, well, actual information from a customer, which is of course anonymized. I don't know, anonymized, is that a correct word? But yeah, anyway. So this is a schedule where that basically we have in a restaurant, these are all the people that need to work in the drive, right? You can very easily like add times. You can even take time and you can copy it. You can go into copy mode saying, no, I want this guy to work here, this guy, for example, right? I'm done. Here on top, we see the amount of costs for that particular planning. We also see here now that these 2 items that I created are in red. Why are they in red? Probably it's one of these ones, right? So it is because these employees are scheduled longer than 9 hours per day. They probably have a second shift already planned for that day, which I could also show here with the availabilities, right? So again, we want to help our, as you can see, they were already planned here from 11 to 2 in the case of Cindy. So we really want to help our customers create a proper planning according to their business needs, but also according to the laws of the country that you're planning in, right? We also have view per day and also one for one, which I'm not going to show today, but here I think this is very interesting because here you can see hour by hour who has been planned in which function, but you can also see here below that they have 4 people planned, which is actually 1 less than the budget that they were given by their central office, right? So centrally, we can put in the business needs, and then the planner, we are helping the planner to plan according to those business needs, right? Now, after that, we have created the planning, right? We can also have people clock in and clock out, right? So let me just enter a code right here. And I still need to clock out from before. And then when I clock in, for example, right, it says here, Nick, you need to sign your contract before you can start to work. I can sign it on a tablet or on a PC, and I'm clocked in. Again, in the back, we check if everything is okay with the legislation of the country, for example, for Dimona, and now the user is clocking. What is interesting is that you have one system which has your planning and all of your clocking information, because that means that, for example, if I have an employee who is late, I can send him a notification if he's 5 minutes late so that he still can clock in. Or if he's 15 minutes late, then I can send them that information to their manager, for example, so that they know that they need to take action, even though that they could not be in the restaurant in this case. Right. Then one of the last things really that I want to show you guys, because I don't want to go into detail for everything, is our what we call payroll calculation engine. So here you can see that from all of the time, so we have the clock-in times, we have the planning in the system, and we also have the absences, right? And with that information, we can create what we call the correct or the most optimal payment calculation for those customers. Like for example, we can see here that if somebody works between midnight and 5, they will get a night supplement. If they work more than 38 hours, if it's a fixed employee and they work for more than 38 hours per week, they get flex hours. If they work for more than 11 hours per day, they have to be paid 150%. If another type of user has to plan or works more than 9 hours per day or 38 per week, then they get bruto netto overuren, which is specifically something for hospitality. We can even say here that if somebody works more than he has planned, then we will get then you will get some kind of overtime, which does not have to be paid in 150%. But if he then works more than his contractual hours, then it will become 150%. With this payroll calculation engine, we can do very complex calculations so that we can make sure that the right calculations are done, and then that information, which is calculated, right? That kind of looks like this. So we have somebody who was planned for 3 hours and a half. He's worked for 4 hours 36. So he's then paid 1 hour and 6 of overtime at 100% because he is working more than he is scheduled in this case. And then we can just export it. And the export we can basically do in any format, and we can send it out to any payroll office in Belgium so that these hours can be imported and can be paid very quickly. And that gives our customers the ability to pay their staff on time as quick as possible, because we know that everybody likes to get their payslip as soon as possible in the beginning of the month. All right, so this is basically what I wanted to show in my presentation. I don't know if you guys have any questions on this, maybe already. Stephanie, you are still muted.
Yes. Let's see if there are questions in the chat or not. If not, Hans always comes with very good questions.
I don't know if it's a good one. I have 2 questions on my paper.
Go
Nick?
ahead, Hans.
All right. It's an amazing story. First, your schedule was amazing from 2016, 2019. You're in 5 years and you're conquering the world from a spreadsheet. So that's an amazing story. Let me say that first. Second, I have a question. I was surprised about the GPS tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Why do employers want to track GPSs?
Well, there are numbers of reasons, but I think the most easy to explain is we have, again, a lot of customers in hospitality and also a lot of people who are in the event business, right? So that means that you're going to send out your staff to work at a customer location, right? And often in that type of business, you have a discussion afterwards on how many hours were performed by the staff.
Yeah,
And with
okay.
that GPS tracking, you can actually prove that when they clocked in and clocked out, that they were on site or not.
Okay. Is it also to measure transporting time? Because I know there are sectors in Belgium where there is a fee while people were transported, and that's a different fee than the wage they're getting. So okay.
Yeah, so it can be done for that because we have something like
In
we
construction.
call cost centers in Strobbo, and basically when you clock, you can change cost center. So you can say, okay, I'm now working on site 1. Then I'm clocking and I'm then choosing cost center transport. And then I'm clocking again when I'm at site number 2. And then we know what the difference is between the 2 locations, but also how much time that you were in transit.
So
And
it
then
could be
sometimes
also
that's just,
ideal for construction, for instance.
Could be yes, but I do
Okay.
have to be honest. There are like two types of business that we don't focus on, which is first of all construction and logistics.
Okay.
Because construction is usually more like project based,
Yeah.
and logistics is really like I have this truck and I need to go to deliver at that location, that location, that location.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We plan staff for a business requirement. We do not plan trucks
Supplies,
or
Yeah,
whatever.
okay, yeah, I understand, Nick. I understand. Clear. You're one more question. I don't know if the chat balloon is orange, so I'll make it a quick one. Is it also possible to, because you're saying it's all according to local laws,
Mhm.
so you contract people according to local laws. Is it only for employees, or could this be used for contractors or freelancers to plan in?
Yeah. So with every user that you put in the system, you have to give them what we call a statute.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the statutes obviously is an independence, right? So
All right.
zelfstandige,
So
right?
it's in there.
But the point is, I don't know if you already worked as an independent, Hans, but independents can work as much as they want because
Yeah.
that way they earn more money and they have to give more money to the government.
Mm-hmm.
So there are basically no rules when you plan them.
So it's less complex to do that.
It's very incomplex, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I do see that we also have some questions now
To
in the chat.
I'll
you
be
read them
read.
yourself, Nick, or
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So I
okay?
have a first question here from Andrew, saying that the software is. He has the impression that the software is mostly for bigger companies, and of course, if you're doing a presentation, it's always nice to name big names, of course. But actually, 80% of our customers have less than 50 employees. Right. So we also have to. I'm not going to go very much into detail now, but we also have actually separate sales teams who go to those smaller customers because our pricing is also different for those smaller companies than for bigger customers. Smaller companies usually pay per module, and bigger companies usually pay per head in the system. And just to give you guys an idea, if you have the complete automation pack, meaning that including the link with the payroll office, companies pay about 125 euros per month for our solution when they are under 50 employees with one location.
See, and Nick, are there limitations on the size? Can a company be too big?
The biggest one that we have now
Yes.
is 8,000 employees.
Right.
And we're looking for bigger. But I do have to say, last time we came, it was in the UK. We had a customer who said, "Yeah, we have 70,000," and there we passed. So we're now looking at, we tested until an upper limit of 2025, but then it just, you're pushing the limits of your database and your software. That's not. I see also a question from Anne, who has the Strobbo app on her phone. All right, great, Anne. And she said that the reporting part is not available for her, but the reporting part is especially for the managers, right? So for the employees, basically on the app, we show when you need to work, when you can give in there your availability. You can also see when you have clocked, which is for me a very important one, because I really emphasize that also employees need to check how many hours they have clocked before the end of the month, because then you can talk to your manager about it and have it corrected if needed. If you don't do that, then it can only be corrected after you get your pay slip. There are costs for the employer. It takes longer, and etc. etc. So we give you the details from your own times, your own clock times, your own planning, but not the overall details and reporting of the company. That's mainly for the manager. All right, those were the two questions that we had, Stephanie.
It seems so, yes. So thank you, Nick. I found it very interesting. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Same here, Nick. It was interesting to see Strobbo again.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And
I'm sure we'll meet again in the
again.
future. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we keep on improving. Thank you, Hans.
Good evolution. Yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Mara, are you there?
Hallo.
Hello. So welcome back, everyone, for our second session. We have again a founder with us, so we are very lucky today. Mara is a CEO of Payflip, It's a company that she co-founded with two other associates, if I'm not mistaken. And they built a tool, especially for SMEs, KMOs, to offer employees a tax optimal and personalized pay package. So I think it's very promising, a win-win for both parties. And we're all ears, Mara. 20 minutes pitch time and 10 minutes questions. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Let me introduce myself maybe a little bit more elaborate. It's correct what Stephanie said. I'm the CEO of Payflip, but I'm part of a co-founder team with two other people. We have a product designer with us, and we have a CTO as well. I am the one responsible for sales and business development, and that comes a bit from my background as being a legal and fiscal lawyer before. Legal lawyer, of course, but I mean specialization taxation. And it was a bit from my personal experience to not really find myself in the hourly rate model of law firms that I think that we could do it differently. We could automate some kind of advice. And I really like the HR atmosphere. So therefore, I found actually my big mission in bringing payroll consultancy to SMEs at very democratic and transparent prices, because we use for our consultancy with respect to payroll certain tools that automate our consultancy. And one of those tools, you should see Payflip as a bot that provides different kind of optimization opportunities within salary package. But one of our most popular tools is the tool of the cafeteria plan. And I really want to center my presentation around the cafeteria plan, as this is by far, I think, in my own opinion, the most future-proof HR payroll technology of the coming years. It's a software that allows employees to actually pick how they want to be rewarded. So to bring you more to that idea in a visual way, I will share my screen. The first slide is a bit of let's say, another wording of what I just said and what Stephanie also introduced us with. It's Payflip is all about smart rewarding tailored to small companies. We want to give more to employees, but not in a way that we pay higher costs as an employer. You should frame this presentation in the most important service line of Payflip, that is the cafeteria plan. And the cafeteria plan actually starts with a bit of a background analysis, what is happening in current times. We are bombarded as consumers with state-of-the-art on-demand tools. Think about Netflix, think about streams, think about Spotify. And we feel that as a consumer, the one-size-fits-all model is not at all applicable anymore. I, as a user of Netflix, for example, have a definitely different collection than most of you guys, as it's the same for anyone else. If we have to pick and choose what we like, it should be a very coincidence that we all have the same. And we're quite used to that kind of system, actually. And what I found remarkable before actually founding Payflip, that kind of principle was not at all in practice within wages. Wages, a very crucial part of our professional and personal life as of a certain age, the moment where mom and dad cannot pay for us everything anymore. We should earn our own savings. But actually the savings come in a very traditional way to us. It's always cash mostly. And actually, it's cash that is exactly the most high taxed in Belgium and in neighboring countries. And therefore, at Payflip, we wanted to challenge a bit the status quo. Actually, is an employee really warm still for the idea to have his salary paid out in a very traditional cash way, yes or not? And what if we just see that if we would pay it in another way, employers should pay less taxes? Because what was a constatation that we had in a first market research that we did in 2019, that 70% of employees indicate that they want to fill out their wage packages themselves. And another quite, let's say, worrying number is that 45% of Belgian payroll taxes goes to, of course, it's a tax, but 45% of Belgian payroll costs of an employer goes to the government in the form of social security, in the form of income taxes. And those two striking numbers did us think about an idea. What about a salary package on demand? Why shouldn't we not be more happy if we actually get rewarded how we want it? And that's where the cafeteria plan comes in. So a cafeteria plan is actually the opportunity that you give as an employer to let your employees be remunerated how they want. It has a very specific and mention-worthy philosophy. It's the fact that it's cost neutral for employers, but it could mean a world of difference for your employees. And I'm going to explain you that based on the visuals on the slides. So if you see that the two visuals left and right represent the exact same employer costs, that's 100%. If you check a traditional, and let's take out just one part of a classic Belgian salary package, that's the 13th month or the end of the year premium, de 13e maand of de eendejaarspremie. Let us just take a closer look to that kind of payout of end of the year premium. We say let's say in general terms, that 40% comes back to the employee in the form of cash. All the rest is actually evaporated in the form of taxes. No one sees those taxes. These are immediately paid to the government, but they do represent together, the cash and the taxes, an employer cost of 100. If we now say we take the same employer cost, but we go for a smart kind of rewarding, then we see that we could give employees actually 75% concretely within their lab, let's say, not in terms of cash, but in terms of benefits. And we see that we along the way only need to pay 25% of taxes. So if you ask me, with the exact same employer costs, being able as an employer to give more to your employees is quite of an interesting thing. But how does that work, such a cafeteria plan? Of course, there are two pillars that you should take into account before setting it up. You should know as an employer, and I'm deliberately saying employer because it's always the initiative of an employer. There is no legal obligation for the employer to do this, but any kind of future-proof employer has this kind of system in mind in order to appreciate his team, in my opinion. That is determining what my budget, or what the budget that I as an employer want to activate in a cafeteria plan is. Where do I get that budget? As I said before, the principle is easy. It should be cost neutral for an employer. So we should need to indicate a certain part of the traditional salary package, and we should transform it into a budget in a cafeteria plan. By the way, the word cafeteria plan, I should not explain it too literally, because you all understand that it's the pick and choose way of doing that we want to represent here in the title. But the first part of the budget, so as I said, is the employer that need to indicate a part of the traditional salary package that should serve as a budget in the cafeteria plan. And we go quite far in there, and that's where payroll is coming in. The employer should say it's cost neutral for me, and I should stick to that. So it's not a way of reducing payroll costs for the employer. He is exactly going to pay the same amount as a budget in a cafeteria plan as he would pay out that normal part of the standard salary package that would not be a budget in the cafeteria plan. So that would mean every kind of social security taxes, any kind of other taxes that he needed to do with respect to that part of the budget. If it would be paid out in normal taxes, in normal wage, everything is part of that budget in the cafeteria plan. In Belgium, it boils down to the gross wage of an employee multiplied by 1.28, where the 28 represents the social security taxes for employers in Belgium. Second kind of pillar when constituting a cafeteria plan is, of course, making sure that the spendings in the cafeteria plan are actually quite interesting, so that my employees really want to get rewarded by those benefits because maybe they wanted to buy even those benefits with their net wage. So an example of a list of spendings could be extra holidays, could help them with pension savings, could go for multimedia, could go for medical insurances, a bike lease, sports subscriptions, desk material, cultural checks. So any kind of those benefits fit in a cafeteria plan. And why that specific list? You might find it a bit peculiar, that list, but they are just all benefits, spendings we call them, it's the same, but we call them spendings or benefits because they have a quite of an beneficial financial and taxation regime behind them. If you would swap a certain part of your salary package for these kind of benefits, you actually pay less taxes. So it's quite solving the problem as I stated before. First of all, I get remunerated the way that I want. Plus, I can lower the own tax burden on my wage with not choosing for cash, but choosing for benefits that are actually more favorably taxed in Belgium. Now, where does Payflip come in? Payflip, maybe I tell you a bit more about Payflip. I saw that Strobbo did that as well. I really didn't have it in mind to explain too much about our numbers and our achievements so far, but I can tell you that Payflip is active in the Belgian market as of September 2019. So we are quite, let's say, young in the business, although we have acquired a certain reputation as being a truthful consultant with respect to fiscality and social law. We also have quite some reputation with respect to software development. So we really want to make sure that if someone engages with us in terms of smart rewarding, should not be, to repeat, not only the cafeteria plan, can be a bonus scheme, can be an author's rights scheme, could be a mobility budget scheme. Maybe you've heard of that. These are all smart reward techniques allowed by Belgian law. But we are quite state of the art in terms of software as well. Now, if I go a bit more deeper into the service flow of cafeteria plan, what I already was doing, and if I elaborate on the software, it's actually this slide that explains the most. What Payflip does in her software is creating the legal documents to provide those kinds of cafeteria plans, to make sure that an employee can legally swap certain wage elements for other wage elements. These are documents that actually are automated in an automatic way via our tooling. So that's very important. We have annexes to the labor contract that are constituted in the tool. We have policies that are constituted in the tool. I don't need to touch them. They are based on my templates and of course the one that I validated with our law firm, but there are actually quite default options in our tool in order that if an employee chooses a certain benefit, it gets part of the labor relationship via an automated generated document in the tool. What is also interesting about our tooling with respect to cafeteria plan, we make those connections with benefit providers. So if we present an Alan digital health insurance, Alan is very present in the tool in an IT sophisticated way. So the moment you choose for Alan, another kind of ping will be arrived in their tool, and they process every kind of order that comes in via the Payflip tool. So that connection with benefit providers is quite unique and operationally not a luxe. We find it just default to make sure that the cafeteria plan doesn't create too much operational burden for our HR managers. But then we have the third pillar, and that's by far compliant-wise the most important one. We guarantee a correct communication with your payroll provider. The payroll landscape in Belgium is sadly dominated by, let's say, in general, 10 big social secretaries that are certified to grant certain services with respect to payroll, and 95% of SMEs are linked to one of those 10 social secretaries. 5% of them are sick of their sometimes not so well-serviced behavior and say we go to an uncertified social secretary. Let's call it called just a payroll service provider that doesn't have a certain certification, but actually does the same what those others do. Well, as these social secretaries or payroll service providers in Belgium are the ones constructing wage slips and are the ones communicating to employers what should be withheld in terms of taxes and social security on salaries, these are the ones that should retrieve via us the correct info to process a cafeteria plan transaction. And that's what Payflip wants to do. We want to guarantee a correct communication towards payroll providers of any kind of movement that happens in the cafeteria plan. If someone buys a bike, for example, in the cafeteria plan and eats his budget for half of it up, we should communicate to the social secretaries that that budget was actually touched and that a certain wage code on the payslip should be activated. What is there in terms of employee communication? Wait, I hear someone in the back. Okay, perfect. So this is more the operational part to really service the HR provider or the CEO if there might not be a dedicated HR department. But we also want to be the partner for employees that they understand what has been doing. For me, it's like a personal mission to make sure that payroll taxes in Belgium get more understood by employees. And Payflip takes a lot of effort to make that mission happen. What we do, first of all, we do on a yearly basis because our tool is sold on a license model. Every year, people pay a certain license fee to use our cafeteria plan tool. And every year we do a personalized webinar. I want to make sure together with the customer support team that employees really understand what happens the moment they make choices in the cafeteria plan. Second of all, we have very clear and simple communication in the tool. I want to really stress out the fact that the way that we treat legal, payroll, or tax issues is explained in a way everyone would understand. No matter what your education is as an employee, Payflip wants to guarantee a clear and simple explanation in however mode it should be done, via videos, via voice recordings. Doesn't matter for us as long as people understand what happens in the cafeteria plan. As an extension of that, we also have a very, let's say, populated chatbot in the tool. All of the employees of Payflip are linked to that, and we grant the guarantee to be to give a response to employees that chat with us in the tool within the 2 minutes. To give you an idea on how we translate that financial benefit of a cafeteria plan in real life, we have for you the customer case of Pencil 42. It's an IT consultancy company with a little 20 employees, I think, quite a small SME in Belgium, and they have Acerta as social secretary. Pencil 42 came to Payflip, like, Payflip, could you please optimize our wages? It's quite important for us that our employees see how much we appreciate them, and we want to do that in a way that they feel it the most, and that is in the wallet. Well, as a result of an optimization via cafeteria plan of Payflip, a Pencil 42 employee gains an average of 650 euro per year more in the cafeteria plan with the use of its cafeteria plan. For Stefan of Pencil 42, it did not increase any of his payroll costs. The only thing what he needed to do was to pay a fee for Payflip for 79 euro per employee per year. This is a bit, but that would take us a bit too far. That's always a slide that I show to HR managers or CEOs, let's say decision makers in SMEs, to show what it takes to set up a cafeteria plan. So the slide is divided horizontally between the responsibilities of Payflip and the responsibilities as a company. You see the ones of Payflip are more populated, of course, but the most important thing that you should understand from this slide is the fact that it takes 1 month to be active with a cafeteria plan. So it's not something that you should, and that is a bit let's say, the rumor that hangs above a cafeteria plan that, oh, it involves payroll, it is legally een huzarenstukje, as we say, so it will take long. No, Our record within Payflip is 2 weeks to set up a cafeteria plan, but in general, we see that 1 month we can arrive at the finish to launch that cafeteria plan. And that consists consultancy, configuration of the tool, and a real launch of the tool with specific budget per employee. I also show in my pitch deck as last slide 2 opportunities for people which I talk to. You have people that are immediate believers of the cafeteria plan and go for a personalized demo. Other ones are the ones that say, let's dive a bit deeper into the topic, but I like it a lot. Let's go for the cafeteria plan ebook that we can download on their website. It's like a guide of a little 30 pages that explains everything legally, fiscally, and operationally about the cafeteria plan. And then they download the tool, they download the ebook, and then hopefully a personalized demo comes up later on. I don't know if I still have time to do a demo, Stefanie.
Yeah, if it doesn't take too much time, yes. Depends. You have a few minutes more, yes?
Okay. I thought at 2:30 it stopped and there was 10 minute questions.
Yes, but I'm not sure how long your demo takes, so.
I can make it a short one.
Yes, I think it's valuable.
So this is the tool with respect to our own cafeteria plan. So the tool is a Payflip tool, of course, but this is also the tool that we grant to our own employees to have a cafeteria plan. It explains, sorry, I should put it in English. Oh, voila. It explains in very general terms what a cafeteria plan is the first time you onboard as an employee. So I agree with the terms and conditions. I have here what is a cafeteria plan, the video, another one, what is my budget in the cafeteria plan, and what is then the advantage versus cash. What I have here, and I already used it in a demo that I just did before this pitch, I have my homepage. You see that I've already chosen 2 kinds of benefits, 5 extra holidays and individual pension savings. I have here my budget and what remains of my budget. But what is actually important to see is that this could be a list of benefits that you provide as an employer to your employees. You see, so if I now choose, I want to go for a laptop, you can order a laptop here via Coolblue. The URL comes here on the page, the price comes on the page. It immediately should give you a certain kind of simulation on your tax benefits. The moment you agree with it, you select, it gets deducted from your wage, and you see it here in the homepage as part of your new salary package. So maybe I'll just stop here. That gives a bit of a look and feel.
Thank you, Mara. It's you speak with lots of passion, and we will invite you as a guest speaker in our payroll classes as well, I think. Let's see if there are any questions for you. I'm not sure, Mara, if you see the questions yourself or you want me to read them.
Anne van Hout, is that the first one? Yeah. Is it only for companies located in Belgium, and what are the languages that it is available in? So for the moment, it's only in Belgium, and we provide it in 3 languages. So you have a Dutch version, a French version, and an English one. And then Sasha has 2 questions. You said that to indicate the budget, you need to multiply the gross wage with 1.28. By gross wage, you mean the wage per year or the monthly wage. And then as an employee, you can choose to spend the budget on a benefit that has more beneficial taxes. Are those more beneficial taxes also more beneficial for the employer? Good questions. I'll start with the last one as it's the more conceptual one. So if you as an employee choose for benefits that have, as I said, a more advantaged tax regime, it's only for you that it counts. So the employer has actually done his job. He has actually, we call that in Dutch, opbrutering. He has taken a normal part of your salary package. He has given you the opportunity to transform that to a budget and give you also the kind of cotisation sociale the employer cost for Social Security that he normally should pay on it, and that is wired to the Treasury in Belgium, he also gives you that. So he actually gives the maximum he can to keep the cafeteria plan cost neutral. If you then choose benefits as an employee, you just pick them within the margin of your budget, and the tax advantage go to you. And then your first question, you need to multiply. Do you mean the wage per year or the monthly wage? It depends. It depends. So sometimes you do that on a wage component that is a monthly component, like the monthly wage, or you do that on a yearly component, and which is, for example, a cash bonus that only appears once or twice a year. So you could do it with basically any kind of wage element. You just need to pick one and then transform it into a budget as an employer, and then let your employee choose in the tool of Payflip how they want to spend that budget.
Thank you. Let's see if
I got a question.
Sure.
Sorry, Stephanie. I wasn't first because everybody was. There were questions in the chat. Hi, Mara. Thanks for coming. I'm Hans. The question I had was so basically the cost for the employer is the same. I pay the wage as an employer, and I pay X euros a month, for instance, and it's the same amount with or without Payflip.
Exactly.
So the only reason why I, as an employer, should consider using Payflip is to give more benefits to my employees without having the extra cost, if I understand correctly.
So if your question is if an employer wins with the cafeteria plan, I can say yes, but not financially.
Yeah, so that was the point a little bit.
Sorry?
It's not relocating financials or something. It's so the cost is exactly the same. It doesn't save me money.
Yeah.
But it gives me more value towards the employees.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's a good point in a war on talent, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, clear.
If I can
can
maybe add to that, Hans.
Oh, yeah.
We have the same type of cafeteria plan set up for our employees, and they absolutely love it. Unfortunately, Maura, we don't use Payflip yet.
I thought the customer was talking.
No.
Yeah, this is a back-to-back.
No, but yeah,
it was not rehearsed. This.
No, for our employees, we have a lot of young employees. I mean, when they can lease a bike or get extra holidays at the end of the year, instead of just basically pouring 2/3 of their 13th month to the government. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, well, I think I agree. It's a great concept. I always wondered why the employer buys X computers, for instance, for his own offices, and as an employee, you can't have the discount on the large buy, for instance. But this is a way to get in on all the benefits as an employee.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stephanie, do you have any more questions? No. Are you doing the wrap up, or am I doing the wrap up? Because we haven't reversed that one either.
Go ahead, Hans.
So
I found it very
okay.
inspiring today. Thank you both.
Yeah, thanks Mara and Nick, both for showing up, for showing us your product and your vision for the future of payroll, because that's what it was. Thanks for the audience for the questions. And I hope to see everyone next week in our last episode on engagement and internal communications. So I'm curious. Please subscribe and see you later all. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.